Welcome to the wreck of the famous 74-gun warship which foundered here in Scilly in the year 1798, HMS Colossus. This seabed sign marks the start of the Colossus underwater dive trail. Now we head this way for dive station number 2. This is a large wooden sheave from a pulley block. It would have been part of the complex system of ropes used to work the ship, although of course the ropes themselves haven't survived exposure on the seabed. Here we are at dive station number 2. What you can see here are 2 British Army muzzle-loading muskets lying on the seabed. These are standard sea service weapons, firing 3/4-inch diameter lead balls. This type of musket was nicknamed Brown Bess and were in use for over 100 years. Here you can see the site plan of the wreck, and this is where we are at the moment. We are now approaching the object marked as Gun 1 on the site plan, one of the cannon from Colossus, half buried, muzzle down in the seabed. This cannon is 9 feet, that's 2.7 metres long, and would have fired a devastating 18-pound iron ball. These large iron objects around Gun 1 have long been a mystery. Archaeology can raise as many questions as it answers, and we simply don't know what their function was. Here you can see where we are on the site plan. We are now approaching the next cannon, marked as Gun 2 on the site plan. Like Gun 1, it too is part buried, muzzle down, in the seabed. Here we see the next cannon, Gun 3, which is very similar to the 2 we have already seen. This timber forms the edge of the gun port for Gun 3. From here the gun would have protruded when ready for action. Here you can see how well the timber is preserved. What you're looking at is actually the inside of the ship's hull on the port side of the upper gun deck. We now move on towards Dive Station 4. These timbers are the frame timbers of the vessel, which form the shape of the hull. Here you can see the sill timber of an empty gun port which lies between gun 3 and gun 4. This beam formed the bottom of the gun port, much like a windowsill. This is gun 4, the fourth 18-pound cannon of the line of 5. These are more hull frame timbers. What you can see here is one of the quarter-deck gun ports. Remember, you're viewing this from the inside. The outside surface lies in contact with the seabed. Look how well preserved these timbers are. However, they are being attacked by wood-boring organisms. You can see the small holes they have made. This is sometimes called gribble. This is a trennel, a wooden dowel fastening which would have held one of the inner planks to the frames of the ship. We have now arrived at the last of the row of 5 upstanding cannons. This is gun 5 on the site plan. Here, at dive station number 6, is the place where the wreck comes to an end. The bow of the ship has broken off and been dispersed. And here you can actually see the broken hull planks which show where the ship broke in half, roughly at the position of the mainmast. This is where we are on the site plan. These frame timbers have been exposed for some time and have been extensively damaged by gribble. Experience has shown that these timbers will soon fall apart and be dispersed by the tide. Here we can see another trennel. This one would have fastened the hull planking to the frames of the ship. We are now at dive station 7. These are the copper bolts which were used to fasten the main ship's timbers together. Notice how the bolts have been worn by the movement of sand in the water. We have a small forest of fastening bolts on this part of the wreck. The end of this bolt has a kind of washer called a rove still in place. This prevented the bolt from pulling through the hole in the timber. This part of the hull would have been below the waterline, which is why all of the fastenings here are copper rather than iron. The hull here is protected on the outside by copper sheathing. Here you can see another rove on the end of a bolt. Although only the copper fastening bolts are visible above the sand, just below the surface lie the timbers of the wrecked vessel. And, after more copper fastening bolts, we approach the next dive station. We are now at dive station number 8. Look at the site plan. This illustrates the part of the wreck that we have been swimming over. We are now approaching dive station number 9. Looking across the wreck, we can see once more Gun 1, the first cannon we visited. This is a wooden sheave, one of the pulley wheels from a rigging block. And here you can see the groove around which the rope would have run. There are many of these blocks and sheaves to be found around the wreck. This large iron object is one of the gudgeons, an iron strap which fastened the rudder to the hull of the ship. Here you can see the hole in the gudgeon where the rudder pintle fitted. We have now arrived back at the seabed sign, which marks the start of the HMS Colossus dive trail.